Welcome back to another episode of Full Circle with me, Onyx. And let's get into it. This video is about kind of how to unload all that baggage, how to stop that inner critic, and kind of like, do you identify as someone who hates themselves or go into moments of self-hate and loathing? um Hate's a really strong word. It's like kind of an overpowering sensation, so we might minimize and marginalize this thing called hate and self-hatred, for depression, for feeling not good enough, unworthy, things like that. And the more I just kind of sit with myself and go through life, the more I realize the language that we all use to communicate is very surface. Like, you have to start breaking down each word into more nuanced layers of meaning. And so, one of my words, I call it the trigger word, is love. And people get love bombed, and they get Jesus bombed. That's another trigger word. And then they mix the two together. God could be a trigger word. These are meaningless words that you are expected to believe carry weight, carry meaning, and they don't. So there are some popular books out there called, How to Unfuck Yourself, and we popularize being independent and being rebellious and standing up for yourself and advocating for your rights, or being a hero, save the day, advocate for someone else. And so we see all this polarized fighting, and we fail to realize that the language we use is program language. You had to learn it, and we use it, and there's all this assumed meaning. So we're having these conversations back and forth with each other, and there's this assumption that you understand the definition I'm carrying for each word. And where does this go wrong? But everywhere, all day long. But you know what? It goes wrong in our own minds. So, about a couple weeks ago, I just was like, I felt like I was under this spell, under this possession. This voice in my head was going on and just criticizing me and bringing me all the way down. It was just ripping me apart to bare bones. And I'm like, when you're in those states, uh, when you have been ridiculed, traumatized, when others have acted upon you in inappropriate ways, um, you might internalize this, and it literally becomes this like invisible character in your head. I kind of liken it to the Matrix and Agent Smith. We're looking for Agent Smith, but Agent Smith can assume any character in the Matrix. And so the mother figure making your breakfast, or the girlfriend, or your boyfriend, or the mailman, all of a sudden morphs into Agent Smith, and out of the blue you're attacked. What are you attacked with? Things. You're a human being. Human equals limit. Human equals failure. You're a girl. That equals this, and that equals you're a boy, you're gay, you're whatever it is, okay? You're this old, you're under these conditions, and you're hit with words, definitions, labels. And it's really kind of hard to just kind of like freeze all the bullets coming at you, like Neo in the Matrix. Take a breath and go, you know what? None of this is real. All of this is kind of like a program running. It's almost like where is the satellite beaming this garbage into my head? Where am I open in my psyche? And so this is the occult channel. This is metaphysical island oasis. Congratulations, you made it here. This is all things about magic, and especially of the wizarding nature. Uh, and and so this is really important. If you've watched some of my other videos, you have to have a healthy sense of self to access higher planes. You have to have a healthy sense of self to have strong, energetic, magical boundaries. And we're not just talking psychological. We're not just talking new age metaphysics where if I just feel good about myself and have faith, then I can rest assured, spiritually bypass, and trust that some other being, some other force, some other treasure is going to assist me on my journey through life. That can all be true, but the ultimate goal is to empower yourself as a human being, as a wizard, as a witch, as a aspiring alchemist and occultist, as a spiritual wanderer, or if you're really taking up the mantle, as a being transforming themselves, realizing they are source, God himself, as an, if you really go down that magical path of ascension, this is relevant. And so battling once again with this so-called demon, Agent Smith. I now name this demon. Demon, I name you. I name you Agent Smith. And the Matrix was the codex, helping me perceive you. That was the occult knowledge through the modern medium of movies and, technology. And now that this mass that has taken form as the entity Agent Smith, I recognize you for what you are. You are just program material. And it's spitting out the mouths of everyone around me. And as I look at these fundamental structures, I can say it's the system, but the system itself is built on this program. And all of it is built on an idea, and magic is built on an idea too, because it's thought form creation. So form into thought, thought into form, they're interchangeable. It's all one. The law of oneness, yeah. But when it's affecting you and you find yourself in your room wrestling with Agent Smith in a negative way, you could feel helpless. You can feel crippled. You could feel constant worry and vigilance, states of anxiety. You could be thrust into fight and flight and running and achieving and getting gold and making the money. And in a weird way, you're running. You're like Pac-Man, eating all the things. Am I worthy? Am I wealthy? Will I be loved? Am I worthy? Am I wealthy? Will someone recognize my value with this house, with this car, and the next car, and the next house, and this money piling up? And will I acknowledge myself with all this money in the bank and all this? And the world, no one's saving the world. I can't rely on anybody else. I gotta look out for me. So I'm sorry, I'm gonna sacrifice the bunny hopping across the road as I speed to work and smash it. I'm gonna not apologize to the old lady who can't pay for her groceries, but I'm gonna pay for mine and quickly leave. And so it's this like kind of all for myself. And pretty soon you find yourself living in a distorted view of what life and the world and what yourself is. You've marginalized yourself. You're living now in Gotham City. You're living in a comic book. Unfortunately, you're living it, and it's like your reality. You're living in a construct. So a few weeks ago, back to this raging critic just screaming at me in my mind, in my head, telling me I'm worthless, telling, I have nothing to account for myself, being in the negative zero on so many levels in my life. Who are you to value yourself? Who are you to hold your head up high? Who are you to channel in wisdom of this collective knowledge? Who are you when you have nothing, And so we find ourselves measuring ourselves to a standard that's actually designed not to be in your favor. Can we use logic and reason to dispel this smoke screen, this illusion, the smoke and mirrors? Yes. Unfortunately, generations after generations after generations have been listening to the broadcast satellite system of humans suck. Humans aren't divine. There's no potential. You're in need. You're in need of others. You need assistance. You need medicine. You need science. You need education. And everyone's scrambling, and you're falling apart. You're going like, why don't I shine? Or why do I have to prove myself? And the big answer is you don't. And the big answer is it's all an illusion. It's all a manufactured illusion called life. And it's pretty much required. You got to go to school, or they're going to call your parents and they might go to jail. Or it was like literally that bad. And might still be that bad. But so there's a lot of pressure put on parents to force their kids to go to the prison called school. There is a lot of pressure, everyone's, and we're getting it from above and below. You're getting it from the degenerates who have failed the system and have now been criminalized, cast, and stigmatized. It's so hard for them. You can't get back into the system. And so, they're out on the street and whatever. It's looking pretty horrible. But then you're also getting pressure from people who were accepted into the system and who have sold their soul unknowingly and knowingly and are thriving in the system. And then there's everything in between. But it doesn't even matter. It all comes back to you. So as we start looking at things, part of expanding your mind and being inclusive is to look at everything, look at the roots, see how the structure is built, and then kind of look forward, look backwards, look up, look down. We want this total 360 sphere view of what's going on. This type of thinking, this attitude, isn't sustainable for humanity. No. Well, that was easy, right? It really is. So it can't be sustainable for you. Who's going to take responsibility in a system that's actually only really about punishment? It's not you're innocent until proven guilty. It's you're held suspect until proven otherwise. So we have to really look at the whole system and this invisible God that we trust, which is on the dollar bill. And we have to see that the currency that's made up isn't really working in your favor. It's a God you must please. You're born on earth to an unpleasable God, going to an unpleasant destination called heaven or hell. Both are pretty unpleasant. So you have to look at the narrative, the myth that's running this machine. It's not exactly running itself, but it's a narrative and it's a myth. And people justify it by saying, oh, without it, there would be chaos. Without it, there would be no love. There'd be every man for himself. And so as my original thought comes back to my mind, we haven't really, in this culture, we haven't considered life as an entity, life as a pattern, or maybe even a pure mathematical equation that's running itself. And it's doing a really good job, and it will do it. It will be doing it whether humans are on the planet or not. There is actually a living algorithm, and it's doing a good job. So we don't need to interfere with that. And so ethics, morality, love is built into the algorithm of existence. Do you understand that? Even God is a product of this original algorithm. And so the gods are unethical because they're not part of the original algorithm, which is ethical. Ethics also includes economics, what is, what is designed to survive. So there's adaptation, always creating new harmony and always creating new patterns. It doesn't get stuck in an idea. It doesn't get stuck in a mold, in a structure. So a false way of living forever and thriving is a stuck model that doesn't really grow. It's a self-perpetuating lie. Evolution, which requires flexibility, adaptation, and change, the pattern can change and thrive and move through time and move through space, ever morphing in the moment to fulfill the needs in a balanced and harmonious way where everyone is served. That is a model of ethics. That is a model of morality. We can look at it as a more basic way of ow, okay, that's not working, or ow, this change is actually necessary. And then I see why. The humbling. So their humiliation, it might feel like humiliation, and then turn into gratitude, humble. Wow, I needed that change. Thank you. Freedom, I can breathe. To this feels good, this feels blessed, this feels glorious. Oh, I feel so much freedom. Of course, I love. Of course, I'm abundant. Of course, it's all okay. I can give now in this expanded new level of freedom, in this freedom of understanding, in this freedom of wisdom, in this freedom of room to breathe and spaciousness. And then when that's done, it might hurt again, and it might feel confining, and we might feel trapped, and we might feel stuck. And then we go under review, and then we feel some negative feelings. And so that it's part of the cycle, it's part of the program. We're not going to resist it. We're not going to create an identity about it. It's not going to live forever. It's going to heal. It's going to evolve. It's going to change. You got to say goodbye to the old you who's not 20 anymore. You got to say goodbye to that wounded inner child. At each level of perception, as you write the story of you, it's only based on the level of awareness that you have from that age, from that generation, from that time period. So if you notice when you hold on to old energy, it feels heavy. It feels toxic. It feels static. It feels resistant. It feels painful. It feels negative. But that same ouch, that same pain, that same negativity becomes a stepping stone up and out. It becomes a ladder. The pain can become a motivation in a positive way. And so now that we know that ethics is built into the structure of reality, the channeled message that came through, I actually received it like a few days ago. It was just a moment, I think, when I was like getting into bed, and it just like dawned on me the realization, what some mystics might call gnosis. Gnosis isn't, oh, it's just coming to me, or oh, I'm just having a vision. The knowledge, the wisdom, the understanding combined with the download, combined with the vision. So there's a lot of breadth that goes in with true gnosis. I'm just saying that. So there's a lot of people going Gnosticism and gnosis, throwing that word around. I'm in gnosis, I know. And I'm like, dude, that's your ego. Or that's just like 1% of the experience of gnosis. And then there's these chaos magicians who are actually pop magicians peddling gnosis as well. And I'm like, I've only had gnosis, and sometimes, and it's relevant to where you're at in your journey, what your mind can receive of that. It's relevant to you. It's relevant. So gnosis, or the self-awareness that comes to you at a deeper level, expands your consciousness because it's moving forward and backwards. It's like a sphere. It expands up and down. It has breadth forward and backwards all around. It's like a sphere of expansion, but it's almost equal to the experience because you are experiencing it. So you have to be able to experience the new knowledge simultaneously. You experience the vision, the knowledge simultaneously. Without the experience and just the vision or just the knowledge, it doesn't integrate fully, and you are not transformed instantly. So that's also another quality of true gnosis, is the instant transformation. You don't cross the same river twice. You don't read the same page twice. You never do the same equation twice if there was a transformation of consciousness. So it's like going through a portal. The me that went in before he knew that ethics is built into the universe, that ethics is built into life. The me that came out on the other side of that portal can put down religion, can let it go, can drop it, can leave it on the side of the road and move on happily ever after. Over, chapter done. There's a period at the end. The piece of artwork is finished. I can move. I'm free now. So the knowledge brings you freedom. So seems a little wild, but yes. So every time, what is self-hate? But it's your Agent Smith running amok in your head, what we like to call head. It's running, it's in your energy field. Somehow someone let the window open into your psychology, and you got an Agent Smith now screaming at you. But what does it want? What does the Matrix want? It just wants you to be in the Matrix. Well, so it's kind of redundant. It's like a program running on its own, but it has no goal. It has no focus. It has an illusion of a goal. So here's the big agenda: evolution. Moving forward. Man going to space. Man becoming richer, wealthier, healthier. That is an illusion. Because someone says why. There is actually only here right now. Through being here, centered right now, you are everywhere at once. You are the end. You are the beginning. The Alpha, the Omega. You are the Ouroboros eating its own tail. When you can get out of your history when you can get out of looking towards this fictitious target of the future that you're comparing yourself to, when you can just be here right now, that's where the magic is. That's where you shift. That's where you reality warp. That's where you have a transcendental moment here and now. All the mantras, all the chanting, all the yoga poses, all the mudras, all the lotus positions, all the incense burned, everything is to seduce you to get back to center. But you know this as a wizard, as a mage. All the power that ever was and ever will be is here now. All the power that ever was or ever will be is here now. And the world is blowing up. But if you can witness it, there is hope. What is this hope? This ambiguous word like love, like God, like tomorrow, like modern, like future, like technology, like science, like him, like her. All these meaningless words. Something is experiencing it. Something is witnessing it. And right here in this something, there's a little crack in the matrix, in the character, in the simulation, whatever, if you want to use those terms to help you understand. There's a crack, the center line. Something is living and breathing from within, from an inner universe, from the inner circle, from the inner planes, an inner vision. Something timeless. Something. So when we look at the spiral of species, everyone's evading death. We're looking towards the future, running away from yesterday, running away from death, running away from the unknown, trying to go towards certainty and salvation. We're looking to God, we're looking to technology, we're looking to aliens. You're running and running and running from a death that doesn't exist. Because what is one of the fundamental laws of energy / magic? It can only transform and change. There is no real death. There is no real birth. There is only transformation. Once you know this, you transform yourself. You transform your consciousness. You transform the way you interact with the world. Hence, you manifest through self-transformation, through the actualization. So thank the program and say goodbye to the program. It no longer serves you. You have found the light switch. The voice isn't yours. The voice is theirs. The voice is a record playing nonstop, on repeat, sitting on the moon on a little record player. You're just internalizing it and cranking up the volume. Leave that world. Leave the moon. Leave the record player. If you can't turn it off, just leave it. And just recognize it too. That's enough too. You can go, oh, I hear Agent Smith. I don't need to own these measurements. These rules, these laws, this inner critic, you have no substance. You're an illusion. The biggest illusion. Just like when Buddha faced Mara, the king of the illusions, he basically said, you have no power. I recognize you for what you are. All the illusions, all the distractions, they're all manufactured, Mara, of this illusionary world. I exist. I exist with no history. I exist with no past, no future. I was never born. I will never die. That which I am is. And you have no substance without tapping into that which I am. everything you experience has no energy until you give it life, till you interact with it, till you tangle with it. Everything can be offered to you: a criticism, a person, a gift, a job. It can come in all these different forms. But until you're interacting with it, touching it somehow with your senses, it remains illusion. It remains smoke and mirrors. Its momentary reality is when it's interacting with you, because you are the ultimate reality. It looks weird to be infinity, eternity, a living God wrapped up in a human experience, posing, playing, and acting. You can wait till your death to witness this gift. You can awaken right now. So you will have your second birth. You might have your midlife crisis death. You might have your dark night of the soul. Come to realize, and when you are realize this, you will start looking at your body as a spacesuit, an avatar. But you'll also have an awareness or access to the player, or maybe the person who even designed the whole thing. So there's levels to your awakening process, your journey. And you get to play on these different levels and become conscious that you are. But you can also celebrate the glory, the wonder of, being a mystery. There is a mystery inside of you. The story of eternity and infinity are inside of you. And there's a level where you can access it through talking. There's a level where you can access it through being a human. But you can access these levels by being still with yourself. You can access these levels through the 4 elements: fire, water, wind, and earth. They're excellent manifestations of, or you could even say portals to the infinite. When you start to feel your infinite potential, more doors are available to you. You don't just get either or, yes and no, this or that, binary matrix coded lowest level system or programming. You suddenly get 3 doors, 4 doors, 5 doors. You get options. You get freedom. You get expansion. You get evolution. And your conversations change. When people are upset, it's because they've run out of options. When people are looking to